everyone, this is Amhara Media Corporation Haber channel and you are watching our Tuesday update live from Bahar Dar, Ethiopia. And I am Fikrat Dizodu. Stay with us. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed expressed his deepest condolences to the family, friends and fans over the death of the legendary artist Ali Bira. Modomuluye will give us the detail.
The renowned Ethiopian singer Ali Bira passed away on Sunday evening at the age of 75. Ali Bira has spent more than 6 years in the Ethiopian music industry, demonstrating great professional experience. His funeral will be conducted in his birth city, Dredar, today in the presence of senior government officials, families, friends and fans. In his condolences statement, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said the death of veteran singer Ali Bira is a great loss for Ethiopia. Through his songs, he promoted unity, perseverance and culture. He has become a role model for many. He added Ethiopia thank him for everything he has done. The Premier stated Ali Bira is an artist who understands that art belongs to the world, who realizes that art does not divide people by nation and language, wealth and poverty, and who shares the transmission of life. Abiy elaborated that Ethiopia and Africa need such artists, those who are born for art and live for art, those whose language does not limit them, those who are not hindered by systematic and political change, and those who sing for the truth and live for the truth. Born in Dredar city in 1950, Ali Bira began his music career at the age of 13, joining a Frank-Allo band. Ali Bira, best known for his legendary Afan Oromo songs, was undergoing treatment at Adama General Hospital since a few weeks and passed away on Sunday evening.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed discussed bilateral and regional issues with various African and international organization leaders on the sidelines of COP27 summit in Egypt. Let's get more from Ababa Burhane.
The Premier tweeted they met with fellow leaders of African nations on the sidelines of COP27 to discuss bilateral and regional issues. He also said they will continue to work in solidarity to find African solutions to Africa's problem and strive for a more resilient continent. The Prime Minister has held discussions with leaders of several countries on bilateral and strategic issues alongside COP27. He also met with leaders of continental and international organizations to discuss issues of mutual interest. Abiy tweeted that Ethiopia shares the global community's concerns and is determined to contribute to their resolution. The Premier stated that he held discussions with leaders of several countries on bilateral and strategic issues alongside COP27. He also met with leaders of continental and international organizations to discuss issues of mutual interest. Prime Minister Abiy is in Egypt participating at the UN's Climate Change Summit known as COP27. The summit has opened in Sharm el-Sheikh on the presence of heads of state and governments of several countries, including Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. At COP27, countries come together to take action towards achieving the world's collective climate goals as agreed under the Paris Agreement and the Convention.
The Organization of Educational Cooperation signed an agreement that will enable the organization to open its office in Addis Ababa. Let's get more from the report. State Minister of Foreign Affairs Ambassador Tesfaye Yilma and Secretary General of the Organization of Educational Cooperation Sheikh Mansour bin Musalam signed an agreement. During the event, Ambassador Tesfaye remarked the opening of the Organization of Educational Cooperation will bolster the government's efforts towards education sector development and Ethiopia's partnership with international organizations. He said that the process of the organization in Addis Ababa will facilitate the ideal South-South cooperation in the education education sector. Secretary General of the Organization of Educational Cooperation, Sheikh Mansour bin Musalam, on his part noted that integrating inclusive education and progressive policies in the education system will be enhanced through the opening offices of the educational organization. The Organization of Educational Cooperation was established on 2020 by Latin America, Caribbean, Africa, Asia, Middle Eastern, and Pacific Island countries at the International Summit on Balanced and Inclusive Education held in Djibouti. The purpose of the Organization for Educational Cooperation is to contribute to the equitable, just, and prosperous social transformation of societies by promoting balanced and inclusive education in order to attain the fundamental rights to liberty, justice, dignity, sustainability, social cohesion, and material and immaterial security for the people of the world. This is Amhara Media Corporation Haber channel, and you are watching our Tuesday update. Proceeding to news beyond borders. Kenya's transport minister has made public documents about a massive Kenyan railway project signed with China after years of scarcity. The 3 billion Chinese-funded and operated railway line in Kenya's biggest infrastructure project since independence in 1963. Its viability has been repeatedly questioned since it was launched. The line runs between the port city of Mombasa and the capital, Nairobi, and there are plans to extend it to port city of Kimusu in the west, and reported by BBC. Two TikTok stars in Nigeria have been sentenced to a whipping and forced to clean the court after they used social media to mock a government official. Mubarak Isa Muhammad and Muhammad Bula were found guilty of defaming governor of the northern state of Kano, Abulaji Ganduji. The pair's lawyer said they would not challenge the judgment, and Nigeria has seen a growing number of social media stars who use comedy to comment on social and political issues. Mubarak Isa Muhammad and Muhammad Bala was arrested last week after posting their video in which they mocked the governor for alleged land grabbing, corruption, and sleeping on the job to TikTok and Facebook, BBC reported. A fisherman who was one of the first responders at the site of Sunday's plane crash, which killed 19 people in Tanzania's Lake Victoria, has described how he tried to save the pilots stuck in the cockpit, how he nearly lost his life trying to rescue him. For BBC's report, we have Brahan Morgan.
A fisherman who was one of the first responders at the site of Sunday's plane crash which killed 19 people in Tanzania's Lake Victoria.
A fisherman who was one of the first responders at the site of Sunday's plane crash which killed 19 people in Tanzania's Lake Victoria has described how he tried to save the pilots stuck in the cockpit and how he nearly lost his life trying to rescue them. Majaliwa Jackson has been officially declared a hero, awarded 1 million Tanzanian shillings, and offered a job in the fire and rescue brigade for his efforts. Speaking to the BBC from his hospital bed in the lakeside town of Bukoba before the government announcement, Mr. Jackson said he panicked as he saw the passenger plane approach from the wrong direction before plunging into the lake. He rushed to the scene with 3 fellow fishermen and helped to open the rear door by smashing it with a roller, which helped passengers seated towards the rear of the plane to be rescued. Mr. Jackson said he then moved to the front and dived into the water. He and one of the pilots then communicated with each other by making signs through the cockpit window. He directed me to break the window screen. I emerged from the water and asked airport security who had arrived if they have any tools that we can use to smash the screen. They gave me an axe but I was stopped by a man with a public announcement speaking from going down and smashing the screen. He said they were already in communication with the pilots and there was no water leakage in the cockpit. Mr. Jackson said. He added that after being stopped, he dived back and waved goodbye to the pilot, but the pilot then indicated that he still wanted to be rescued. He pointed out the cockpit emergency door to me. I swam back and took a rope and tied it to the door, and we tried to pull it with other boats, but the rope broke and hit me in the face and knocked me unconscious. The next thing I know, I was here at the hospital, Mr. Jackson said. Both pilots are among the 19 confirmed fatalities after the plane operated by Precision Air, Tanzania's largest private airline, crashed near the shore of the lake. According to Precision Air, of the 43 people on board, there were 24 survivors. Mourners on Monday paid tribute to the 19 victims at a service held at the local football stadium in Bukoba. Speaking at the service, Tanzania's Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa said the government would cover the cost of the funerals. Earlier, he said an extensive investigation would be carried to establish the cause of the crash. The plane left the commercial capital Dar es Salaam on Sunday and made a scheduled stop at Mwanza before it crashed at around 8:50 local time as it was approaching Bukoba Airport. The airport has been closed until further notice.
This is Amhara Media Corporation Habar channel and you are watching our daily news, and now let's see the foreign currency exchange rate of the day. This is all we got for today. I am Fukrat Dizodu and you were watching our Tuesday update live from Bahar Dar, Ethiopia. Goodbye and have a nice time.